I'm Rachel.
Hi, I'm also Rachel.
And this is the second episode of The Nurses. Previously on The Nurses, Jana and Taylor talked to you about type 1 diabetes, and today we're here to talk to you about Parkinson's disease. We're going to discuss how the disease is defined, the causes and symptoms associated, and how Parkinson's affects homeostasis, proteins, and cell membranes within the body.
So first we will discuss what is Parkinson's.
Parkinson's disease is a neurological degenerative disorder. A neurodegenerative disorder such as Parkinson's affects many of the body's regular activities such as body movements, like motion and balance. A degenerative disorder is characterized by the increased deterioration over time, which means the symptoms of Parkinson's will increase and get worse.
The cause of Parkinson's is still unclear, but there are many factors that appear to play a role. Specific genetic mutation appears to cause Parkinson's, but is fairly uncommon. The second believed cause of Parkinson's is environmental triggers. Exposure to certain toxins may increase the risk of Parkinson's in later cases. Still, the risk is very small. Much research is still being conducted to identify the factors causing Parkinson's disease.
Parkinson's disease occurs when there is a problem with certain nerve cells within the brain that produces the chemical known as dopamine. When the death or impairment of the neurons occur, less dopamine is produced, which leads to the symptoms of Parkinson's.
Many of the symptoms that accompany Parkinson's include tremors, slowed movements, rigid muscles, impaired posture and balance, loss of automatic movements, and changes in writing and speech. In normal homeostasis, dopamine is produced in the substantia nigra, located in the midbrain. When dopamine is produced and released by nerve cells, dopamine moves from the axon across the synapse and into the dopamine binding receptors in the receiving neuron. That triggers a signal through the neurons to the basal ganglia of the brain.
What is dopamine, Rachel?
Dopamine functions as a neurotransmitter, a chemical released by nerve cells to send signals to other nerve cells. The brain includes several distinct dopamine systems, one of which plays a major role in reward-motivated behavior. Reward-motivated behavior is the body's act of releasing dopamine to cause the body to repeat certain beneficial activities, such as eating and sex.
Dopamine also plays a role in functions like movement, memory, sleep, mood, and attention.
However, when suffering from Parkinson's disease, the neurons that produce dopamine become impaired or die, and they can no longer produce a sufficient amount of dopamine. With less dopamine moving across the synaptic cleft, there is a loss of cell-to-cell communication between the substantia nigra and the basal ganglia of the brain, therefore leading to a loss of smooth and purposeful movement, memory, sleep, attention, and mood.
In normal physiology, a protein known as alpha-synuclein is found within the brain.
Although the function of this protein is not well understood, studies suggest that it helps regulate the release of dopamine and maintains a supply of synaptic vesicles in presynaptic terminals.
When suffering from Parkinson's disease, and for a very small subset of Parkinson's patients, hereditary variability in the alpha-synuclein gene contributes to the development of the disease. In these rare cases of familial Parkinson's disease, the alpha-synuclein gene produces either too much alpha-synuclein protein or an abnormal form of the protein. Unusual events believed by some researchers to be toxic to the brain cells and to result in neuron dysfunction.
Furthermore, alpha-synuclein is the primary structural component of Lewy bodies, suggesting that protein aggregation plays a role in sporadic Parkinson's disease as well.
Lewy bodies are abnormal masses of proteins that develop within the nerve cells, displace other cell components, and cannot be broken down.
Researchers believe that Lewy bodies hold an important clue regarding the cause of Parkinson's disease.
Now we will discuss the cell membrane. In normal physiology, the cell membrane is a selectively permeable movement system that allows select ions and molecules to enter and leave the cell. The cell membrane works to protect the cell from its surroundings and is composed of a phospholipid bilayer and is embedded with proteins.
We already know that people suffering from Parkinson's disease have an abnormal variation of the protein alpha-synuclein or overproduction of this protein. It is believed that this protein builds up closely to the cell membrane and makes it more permeable or forms channels on the outside of the cell. A process known as lipid peroxidation occurs.
Lipid peroxidation is the oxidative degradation of lipids, which in this case causes the destruction of cell membrane, and this causes a cell to become sick or cause cell death.
In summary, we will quickly recap Parkinson's effect on homeostasis, proteins, and the cell membrane.
Homeostasis. Parkinson's causes the death of dopamine-producing neurons within the brain and a loss of cell-to-cell communication between the substantia nigra and the basal ganglia parts of the brain. This causes the symptoms of Parkinson's, therefore disrupting the normal homeostasis of the body.
Proteins. Mutation or overproduction of the alpha-synuclein protein causes the formation of Lewy bodies, which disrupts normal brain function and causes deterioration.
Cell membrane. Lipid peroxidation occurs on the neuron's cell membrane, causing the destruction, which causes the cell to become sick or die.